This is Modern Mindset, the show that picks the brains of the world's leading minds to help you unlock yours. I'm your host, Adam Cox, and joining me today we have Olivia Igwe, who is an image consultant and fashion stylist. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Adam. It's an honor.
Yeah, great to have you on the show. So tell us a little bit about your background, because some people have a calling into fashion, into kind of style. When was your earliest experience that kind of drew you into that world?
The probably earliest experience from what I can recall is when I was 13. So I would literally change my outfits every single day, up to 7 times a day. My mom would go mad, but I wouldn't necessarily get it dirty. But I was just try and see how I was literally feeling. So what would I feel if I wore, if I wanted to be cool, if I wanted to be sexy, if I don't wanted to be like, at the time it was like a bit. I was a tomboy when I was younger. So how would it be if I wanted to be a little bit more gangster, right? And so that's literally how it started. And then I jumped into finished school back in because I was living at the time in France and never blended into school, never felt that it was my calling. And so from that, I initially I wanted to be a designer, but I heard that you had to be meticulous and create your own things. I am zero patience. So I was like, nope. So then I went to architect and I was like, oh, that's so cool. When I started with 7 years, I was like, nope, we're not doing that. So that's when my dad heard of a headhunter, and there's a school back in France, Marangoni, an Italian school, where they did styling. And so they had a program in there on how to style through clothes. So having the model wear a piece and then you tell a story. And storytelling has always been something I love, and blending with clothes. So me being behind the camera and putting everything in front, that was something. So that's how I jumped into it. So I knew I wanted to do styling. I knew I wanted to do something of my own. I just didn't know at the age of 13, but I just like flowed with it.
That makes sense. And, when I think of architects, I kind of think of more introverted kind of characters. And when I think of fashion and style, it's more extroverted. You strike me as an extrovert. You certainly don't seem shy. Do you think that your personality type drew you towards this kind of industry of kind of fashion and style?
Oh, absolutely. It's funny. I am a semi introvert. Like I like my own space, but when it comes to being on, I did what is it called, theater when I was younger at school. So I've always loved performing. So that's the sort of like hat you put on and hat you put off. And I've realized that I've always had a style, but it was never to please anybody. And that I've always had that in my DNA. And so that's how I got really drawn into styling, because for me, I was only pleasing myself. It wasn't to take a picture or to be different, to stand out. I already knew I stood out anyway, blending, being a mixed race child, having different heritages, living in France, speaking various different languages or wherever we were living at the time. So for me, it was, yeah, clothes just spoke more than words. And we've always said that when you meet somebody, it only takes 5 seconds for them to like you, not like you, make a decision. And so I've always been playing unconsciously on that path.
Yeah, it's powerful, the element of first impressions. You mentioned the part of the choices in your childhood of kind of clothes and fashion were to tell a story or to link to an identity or to project something. To what extent did the clothing choices that you make also influence your own emotional state, like how you felt about yourself?
Um, it had a huge impact, because I realized if I didn't feel good with what I was wearing, then I couldn't show up the right way. And so I've had to learn it really, really, I mean, a harsh way, because I was working with some high-end brands. And high-end brands is funny. They say they like their customers to wear strong, powerful pieces, but when it comes to you working for them, they're like, you got to dim your light a little bit down, etc. So I've had to like be confronted to a world where you want to be creative, but you don't want to be at the same time. So I've just realized that it had to come from me. And I think that's when my parents just really brought it to me since I was a young age. Like, you have to be yourself and you have to thrive. I mean, we're talking about what, 20 years ago, where being a stylist was not something that was really cool. Being a stylist that had mixed heritage wasn't something that you usually definitely did see. Even modeling, like models that were colored, you'd hardly see. I mean, apart from Naomi Campbell, Tyra Banks, that's all you saw. So yeah, it is interesting.
Yeah. And do you think your heritage, the different kind of cultures, did that create, a fusion of different kind of styles that you kind of personalized to make your own, or was it separate? There's culture and then there's you following the fashion trends.
I actually love blending it into one. So that gave me more creativity to do something where you could play with colors. I remember when we were back in at school, Marangoni, we were doing our first editorials. This is what it was the second year. You do like 4 years at the time. And the second year or third year, I was struggling to fit into the box. And when my stylist teacher at the time, she said, Olivia, just don't look at what others are doing. Do something that makes you feel alive. And once she gave me that key and that ignition as a mentor, that's when I did an editorial and she thought it came from a magazine. She's like, you did that? I was like, yeah, I did. So I think it's when you know your true power and you have people that also believe in you, because you've got to surround yourself with the right people. That's when I was like, okay, that's when I got it.
Mm. What do you think is the most common mistake that people make when it comes to thinking about their own image or projecting their own style?
The first thing that they have is, do I deserve it? Am I worth it? I mean, I cater mainly to women, but it's all that self-judgment that you get. I mean, I haven't had a child, so I don't know, but from what I've seen with my sister, when she had her first, her, my little nephew, it was like, what are others thinking of me? And I think that's the narrative we need to change, because everything is within you, but you've got to be confident enough that you're okay being different. You're okay to not fit in. um yeah, those are the two things that I've realized. It hurts my heart because I'm like, you should own who you are. Like, there's not enough gems like you. And generally when they wear something that they love and they're thriving in their own era, you can't stop a woman that's unstoppable, right?
Mm. No, it massively influences all different emotional states. So confidence, pride, this kind of feeling. I mean, use the phrase unstoppable. For me, that's a highly resourceful state. And when people are in that kind of state, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. They can do amazing things. And it's difficult to feel unstoppable if you don't look unstoppable. In terms of, your own experiences, can you think of a time where you weren't in a good place emotionally, but by changing how you looked and what you projected, that got you in a different kind of emotional space?
Oh, that's an amazing question. When I didn't feel, yeah, the when I had to shut down my first company that I had opened back a few years ago, I thought it was going to be, because as an entrepreneur, you're like, okay, it's gonna work because I put everything in place, etc. But you had to dig deep onto personal development and working on yourself. And when I had to shut it down, it was such a heartbreaking moment, because I was like, oh man, like, you're like everybody else, right? And then self-doubt started kicking in. And it was only when I decided the narrative of my story, I was going to change it, when I decided, okay, um, let's move on from this. What have I learned? And letting go. And from that letting go piece, that was when I was open to working on myself. And even, yes, as an extrovert, and the first company seemed to go really well, but at some point it didn't. It was really like that moment where you're like, okay, it's not working, let's shift it. And that's when not my style altered. It was just a calling to be like, okay, Olivia, you can do this a second time. You've just got to learn from your mistakes. And also that's when colors started tuning in into, okay, if I wore red, what did I do? Because my first company, I was trying to blend in. I was trying to be like everybody else, but it didn't help me. And I was getting too many ideas of other people that hadn't done what they do. And I think a lot of people listen to advice of people that haven't done what you have done. So yeah, that was a major one for me.
Mhm. And you mentioned color there. I mean, obviously, color has a big impact on psychology. Certain colors are, linked to very powerful emotions. You know, the color red is linked to danger or excitement, and then you've got other colors that might be more calming. In your experience, what's the color that best helps people to access that resourceful state of being unstoppable? Is there one color in particular, or is it just kind of finding something that fits the individual?
I would say there is one that really does work. I mean, I do work with chakras, so the wheel of energy that we have within us, and we have like up to 12 like chakras, but I only go onto the six, seven that we have, but mainly the root one, so the red. Why is that one so important? Because that's mainly where you're birthing your idea. And red, people see it as being, aggressive and sexuality, all that kind of stuff. But it's a blend of masculine and feminine energy. But it also blends with the element of birthing your idea, so the element of the earth. So when you're connected to the earth, when you're connected to nature, automatically you feel alive. I mean, go to the forest, you just everything, all your ideas, all your troubles just fly away. Or if you go to the sea. So red is mainly the one that I think is the most important. Now, a lot of people say, okay, red, but I don't like red. Even for me, even as a personal shopper and stylist, I was like, no, 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 no. Red is not for me. But there's so many different reds: to red vermillon, red Bordeaux, red love, red cherry, red pink. So it's about finding that color that works better with your personality. Because we could go into it for hours, but are you more of a warm color, or are you more of a cold person, a cold color? That doesn't mean it's personality connected. It's just, I don't know if you've seen maybe Scandinavians, if they wear a blue that is cold, it suits them really, really well. Whereas for people that are a bit more, their skin tone is a bit more colored, then it would go more like a warm red. So, same color, but different textures. And that's where, people get it are misled because they think it doesn't suit them. When, you go to a makeup store, the color red in terms of lipstick or eyewear is insane. There are so many reds. That's why never buy any lipstick for a woman, because she may not like it, because there's so many tones that may not suit her.
Absolutely. And are there kind of, because a lot of style is related to, kind of the visual features, the clothes that people wear. Obviously for women, you've got things like makeup and, whether that's kind of lipstick, nails, things like that. Are there any kind of certain colors that just kind of don't go together that, you as a stylist would say, right, never mix this with this because you're going to get it all wrong? Is there any tips you could share with this?
Yeah, I always make sure that you always go for three colors if you're wearing. You can go for one, but maximum just three colors, and they have to be in the same color tone. So maybe going for like a yellow, brown, mustard, those kind of colors all together. I have a free ebook that people can get, and I've blended really well like the colors and how to blend it together. But yeah, maximum three colors. Although I must say, as a stylist, I'll go for, you'll see like I have green nails, pink, that don't work together, but it's about how you own it. And that's the difference about when you walk with style, you have to own your colors at 100%. The colors have to warm your face. So if you feel that, I don't know, a red is not, your skin tone doesn't feel alive with it, then it has to come out. If, for example, you're wearing gray and it sucks up your mood, then maybe add a little, a scarf, a colored scarf, or maybe a hat or a blazer. It's about fine tuning what works for you and makes you look good. Sometimes I tell my clients, I'm like, look, buy yourself a jumper, but the same jumper in different colors. It's okay. The style is different, but then you're wearing different colors in different moods. So always make sure it's three colors. Make sure the tones go together. So you're playing with them, some light blues, some dark blues, and maybe like a navy, those colored together. I always make sure, don't try and do purple, green, and yellow. If you're not comfortable with the colors, go with the same color, but in different shades. So then you don't get lost too much in that. That helps.
Yeah, absolutely. We're in a strange time where, just about to have a second lockdown here in the UK. A lot of people that were communicating face to face, maybe looking forward to kind of dressing in a certain way for wherever they work, whatever their career is. and obviously different industries tend to have different kind of approaches to kind of style, different professions. But what we're tending to find now is that a lot of people are having, Zoom calls, team calls, Skype calls, and they're still projecting themselves and they're still being evaluated, but they're doing it in a different kind of context. Do you think that's going to have an impact on the kind of styles that people choose, and is there any psychology linked to how people are evaluated, let's say on a video call compared to face to face?
Oh, yeah, 100%. I think today with everything with Zoom that's been going on, it's really like, okay, you only have to dress the top part of your face and then the rest you could be like an underwear or whatever, which is absolutely fine. We're in a world we have to adapt. We're human beings where we adapt really easily. It's about not letting that narrative in your mind dictate what you're supposed to do. So I've realized that even Zoom is so important because sometimes you'd have a lot of like phone calls. Now it's literally people see you. And as I said earlier on, it only takes 5 seconds for somebody to like you, not like you, dislike you, have an opinion on you. I mean, all of us judge. I mean, I'm the first person I judge even without knowing the person, but then we're all like that. Now that doesn't mean judging is mean. It's just you're analyzing the person, like in Avatar, like in those films. But it's really important to make sure that as we're going into this more digital world, that you try and find something that makes you look and feel good, even if it's a t-shirt or a necklace, and you change the style, because when people will see you and you wear something that makes you look good, automatically it's energy, so people will feel it. Of course it's virtual, but they'll still feel you're happy. I mean, half of the time I talk to my clients or my team, I'm always, doing voice notes, but I do voice notes because I'm happy. I bring joy. So clothes and your colors will definitely bring joy to people, even if it's like a lipstick or a pair of earrings. It's the change that you need to do.
Mm. Yeah, it's a strange time. I found myself, wearing less suits, but kind of more. If I do have like a client call, because I'm aware that there is that kind of 5 second evaluation, you know, weird little things like, having a nice watch, having a blazer on, you know, I mean, for a guy, it's much easier because there's less things, there's less moving parts. It's kind of, but you do like two things and you get a very different reaction from the person than if you don't do that. It's kind of, there is this halo effect of kind of perceiving you to be sometimes more intelligent or more competent based on how you wear.
Yeah, absolutely. And I find it interesting because, men, we say, yeah, but men don't have to, go through different things. They still do. I mean, men are still important in the part of, dressing up. It could be like, as you say, like a nice t-shirt or a long sleeve. It really is about, men, I guess you could play with more colors because the cuts can be the same, but just playing with maybe polka dots, or I mean, polka dots is like a little bit extreme, but maybe some cream colors, some blues. Blues are really good for communication color. If you don't know what to go for, stick to something that is easy. Blue is color of the communication. Pinks is color of trying to make it. Although here in the UK, I know pink is not really well seen, but in Italy and in France, is like a cool color to wear.
Mm. Yeah, no, it has different connotations, but I think, sometimes a little bit of color can make a big difference. And even for a guy, I've got, different watches and they'll have slightly different kind of color bezels, and that can kind of, again, it just kind of, it's a little bit of something that, is better than nothing, because there are limitations in terms of, I mean, there was a time when, men used to wear ties a lot, and we don't really see that as much. What's your thought, on men wearing ties, because that gives an element of color, but at the same time, it's quite formal.
It makes it really formal. I mean, there's formal and depending on what's your background. Because I know like a lot of, we have, well, when we had fashion shows, because I don't know where the fashion show industry is going to go anymore, when you would wear a style and the street style looked really amazing. Like they have a PT back in, so they have an Italian sort of style back in Italy, in Firenze. And so a lot of them would wear suits and ties, and it looks good. It looks nice. It just depends how you're going to tone it up with colors. I mean, I have a friend who's a designer back in Italy, Piccolo, and he loves wearing suits, but it looks so good on him, makes him look sharp. Now, he doesn't always wear the tie, but sometimes when he adds the tie, it elevates you to another level. Now, of course, it depends. Like if it's on a Zoom call, I can't imagine that I mean, depending on what the deal is going, probably you have to wear one. But I think it's something that you can play around with. But I must say, over the years, it's something that people are really letting out because it just the time you put it on, you know. Zoom calls is about, okay, wait, I've got 5 minutes to get out to this call. I gotta hurry up, right? Because you got the kids running around or whatever.
That's it.
But yeah, and something I think it will still stay. It's still something that's elegant, but it's not something that you absolutely need in your wardrobe if of course, your environment allows you to not wear one.
That makes sense. And obviously, like most of your expertise and clients, you know, you said many times that women is what you focus on. Let's say there's some guys listening and you can give them a couple of style tips that can immediately raise their Zoom game so they can just kind of come off a little bit different or maybe get them, you know, in a more resourceful state. What would you recommend for them?
Mainly in terms of having in the wardrobe for men, I would always say, as we're going on Zooms, is to maybe have like different colors of t-shirts that look good on your body. Like, don't wear pieces that look oversized nor too tight. I know sometimes in the sports industry they wear like super tight clothes, and I'm like, honey, we don't need to see all your muscles and all your six pack. But something that really looks good. What I would say is definitely, as you said, you know, the watch. If you like wearing bracelets and watches, like really do change on those. And blazers, either blazers or what is it called? For some reason, I don't have the word. It's not jumpers, but it's sweaters. And sometimes when you have details on the shoulders, like not studs, but maybe small little details around the collar, that really elevates your game. I mean, Selfridges, you can find a lot of those. Harrods, they have a few nice pieces, but if you're that's Selfridges and Harrods is not your ball game. You know, Costs really have Zara, Cost, Zara. The Inditex group have really cool t-shirt sweaters that have small details, but it could be, for example, a line on a t-shirt, and that can be amazing. You know, it doesn't need to be with writing or just a simple color. It can be how do you I only have the word in French, un dégradé, um, a blend of different colors. How do you say un dégradé? Dégradé. Oh Lord, I can't find it. Where it starts from a color and then it goes from another one. So it goes like a blue and then it turns into a little bit of white.
Oh, like a little transition kind of.
Yeah, great transition, something like that. I can't find the word for some reason.
No worries. So, okay, yeah, that's the good tips there. So kind of like have something so you don't look like everyone else. You know, the goal on a Zoom call is not to look, you know, identical to everyone
Like
else. And I think particularly for guys,
etc. You know, just add a bit of color. If you don't like, maybe go for some creams, some blues. You can never go wrong with blues and cream. Maybe camel if people like wearing browns. That also is a nice outstandish color. I mean, especially for now, autumn, winter. So.
No, that makes sense. And prior to the call, you were mentioning a little bit about, you know, when you think of colors, you don't just think of colors in, you know, let's say clothes and kind of makeup. You're also thinking of kind of colors in foods. To what extent does the color of the food that you eat also impact on mood and you know how you project yourself?
So I've realized through because my mom is a naturopath, so we always have had like healthy foods at home. You know, if I was hungry at 4 o'clock, and I still feel the pain of this, so when she hears this, she'll be like, "You're a bit dramatic." She would always give us like peppers and cucumbers and carrots and all that kind of stuff. So I always blended into that. And as growing up, I realized that today our food is just so we're deficient in so many things. And so if you add a plate of food where you have, I don't know, some peas, which are green, and the meat, which is brown, and some peppers that are red, automatically your mood just changes. Whereas if you're just having a bowl of pasta with carbonara inside of it, and that's it. And I've realized we, as our bodies, and I've realized with the women, if you don't eat right or you don't eat healthily, automatically you feel it in your body. You feel sluggish. You feel that you don't want to do anything. Now, I'm not saying to become vegan, etc., but I'm saying, what are you putting inside of your body? Because clothes is a facade, which is great. But if you don't have the energy in the morning to start the day and to wake up with the right energy, then what are you eating? Because we are filled of water. We are filled with so much energy. So the food that we eat is great, but we also need to make sure that it's colorful. So soups, I mean, And that's what I've realized. I mean, I was looking at my sister, and she same thing. She wasn't eating correctly, and she has a 1-year-old, and he's hyper. I mean, he's not hyperactive. He's just active. He just like, you put him on the floor, and then six seconds later he's on the other side. I mean, with kids, because you have kids. And so when I was looking at her visibility or her mindset, as a mom, you're always at home, so you're always looking after the kid. And so I was like, sister, you've got to start putting makeup on. When you over makeup or tie up your hair with a headscarf. Headscarf is really good for covering energies. If you don't feel that you're in the right mood, wear a headscarf. I mean, I know some men don't wear headscarves, but I know that's maybe a small tip for women. Like it helps just hold the energy. And I was telling my sister, when you wake up in the morning, breathing techniques, of course, but drink water, which is blue, so it goes into your body, well, transparent blue, and start eating some stuff that make you feel like cucumber is really good, to peppers, to carrots. And yeah, that's what I just realized. We all need two things in life. We need love and we need food. I mean, if we can cut off everything else, that's all we need: love and food. Love can come through colors, connection, through everybody else, and food, we can't survive without it. No. So
Absolutely. And the color of the food kind of is linked to the micronutrients that the food contains. So the carotenoids of those kind of orange and reds, or the kind of the antioxidants that you find in the blueberries and things. It's not just there for show. These kind of colors of food really have an impact in terms of health and well-being.
absolutely. And you know what is, people say, yeah, but I'm getting enough through my foods. And I'm like, yes, you are, but maybe you need to add maybe some other supplements that can really balance it up, because our food is deficient in whatever it is. You can go high-end bio, don't get me wrong, but you need something that will balance you up, that will really, fill the gap. So sometimes it's looking at other solutions that are still natural, still good for your body, that you can blend into one by still eating your carrots, but getting a drink, I don't know, like a root chakra drink, which has like the energy to oxygenate your brain, to give you the focus, the concentration. So your body has both. And of course, you and I know that we work out. So, working out, going for a walk is really important too. Those, I think, is the three things we need in life.
Absolutely. So I want you to dust off your crystal ball, gaze into the future, and let me know what you kind of think, because 2020 has been an odd year, very strange year. What's your kind of predictions in terms of how style and image perhaps will change? Because there was lots of memes going around at the beginning of lockdown. Like, I think the film Mad Max was actually set in 2021. So there was a meme going around like, at what point do we start wearing like leathers and chains and all this kind of apocalyptic wear? But what's your predictions for what the future is going to look like in terms of how we style and how the impact of having like regular Zoom meetings is going to change like how we project and the clothes we wear, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question, a good question. I think styling today is really going to change in terms of, do I really need the pieces that I'm buying? Because people are not going to parties anymore, or not doing anything. Or if you do have a party, you're going to have a Zoom party online. I mean, I think I had that for the first lockdown. A friend had something like a Zoom party. She had her own DJ, and then all other people were, partying. I really think that it's going to be, what do I need in terms of clothes? Do I really need to buy? It's going to really be an awareness, because a lot of us, and a lot of women, from what I've seen, they have like 90% of things in their wardrobe already. All they need to do is cleanse and go through what they wear and what they don't wear. So I think we're going to go to a little bit more of a minimalistic sort of wardrobe, and working around of being more creative of what to wear. So more pieces of like jewelry, earrings, headscarves, blazers, small different things that you don't necessarily need all the time. But streetwear for sure, like outerwear, comfy is definitely something that has boomed. I mean, Lululemon to Nike to Adidas. I mean, those pieces, because you're just at home, right? So you want to feel comfortable. You're not going to wear a pair of heels. I mean, I think the last time I wore heels, oh, that was before lockdown.
Oh, you're getting nostalgic. You're getting nostalgic now.
No, okay. Oh no, that's a bit like, I did that for a photo shoot. But anyhow, it's our ball game and our thing is really going to change. So it's going to be more minimalistic. I can't really predict in terms of fashion shows and all that stuff. I just think it's going to be more of, what does the world need today, and is it really valuable? And that time will tell. Unfortunately, I don't want to
Mm.
say something I should have regarding fashion.
Yeah, well, that's it. I mean, there's too many unknown variables to know for sure how it's going to be, but at the same time, it definitely is going to change. That we do know. If someone's listening right now and they want to tap into your expertise to kind of update their style, their image, or perhaps, from a personal shopping point of view, I'm sure a lot of that is online at the moment, but you're kind of pointing them in the right direction. What's the best way that they can connect with you?
Best way is just to find me either on Instagram or Facebook, Olivia Igwe. Otherwise, there's oliviaigwe.com, my website. But yeah, I'm mainly on Instagram and Facebook. I do many lives where I try to, not try, I pour various different ideas that I have that can help out. Otherwise, I'm on LinkedIn, but mainly Olivia Igwe. You could not miss me. I've made sure that you could only see Olivia Igwe, that there's only one.
That's it. Olivia, thank you so much for joining me on the show today. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Adam. You're amazing.
And to you at home, thanks for joining me on Modern Mindset. See you again soon for more.